Today on the agenda, I will be fulfilling a request that came to the administrators and moderators of the Black Cloud Geeks. We were all asked to provide a background or how we got into tech or a summary of basically our career so that the people in the group could also learn from what we do, who we are, and ask any questions as it relates to what we do. My name is Kenny and I run Robinson Handy and Technology Services. This video is for the channel that I run called Tech Talk with RHT Services. On this channel, I talk about how to do various things, this traffic light that you see behind me, as well as some of the automations that I do and personal projects. Now, the topic of this video though is about Black Cloud Geeks. So let's talk about Black Cloud Geeks. So this group actually exists both on Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you're on one and not the other, by all means, just join the group. Similar information is posted in both platforms. However, the Facebook group, from my perspective, actually it gets more interaction. So if you do have a Facebook account, go ahead and join that one in addition to the LinkedIn. And if you don't have a LinkedIn account and you're in tech, you need to go ahead and set up a LinkedIn account. But the purpose of this group is for people who are in the cloud computing space or are trying to get into the cloud computing space to have a community of people that they can network with, interact with, ask questions to, and get answers from people that are involved in the same space. More so a community, if you will. And so things that happen in this group are like people asking questions, as you see here. So asking about cloud analytics. I made a post today. It's just coincidence that I'm making this video after making this post, but somebody sent me a job opportunity and was like, hey, are you interested? I would like to talk to you. And I was like, no, I'm not interested. And they also were like, well, just pass it on to somebody else because I'm trying to get this role filled. And so posting job opportunities is another benefit of being a part of this group. Now, I will come back more to the group later, but I will go ahead and cover and talk about myself. So my name is Kenny and I am currently a programmer analyst. My history as far as it relates to being in tech started really back in high school. I had a website that I used to run on GeoCities. If you're old enough to remember what GeoCities is, you're probably laughing. If you're not old enough, go to the Wayback Machine and you'll see. But I started doing HTML and a little bit of CSS back then. I got to college and I did electrical engineering for the first 2 years. Obviously, that was not my calling, and I ended up changing over to graduating with a business degree and minoring in computer science. While I was at the University of Alabama, where I attended college, I worked at the Office of Information Technology as a student assistant. Basically, I got to work with the full-time developers there to build and maintain applications for the various university departments and services and stuff like that nature. Now, some of the systems, like one of the systems I actually built was the exam system, where once a student takes a Scantron exam, their grades are loaded to this. The results are loaded to this system, and so I built a portion of that particular system. I'm not sure if that system still exists today. It is at this point well over 10 years, so it probably has been replaced at this point. But I also got experience working with Oracle because they don't teach Oracle in school. And so once I graduated, oh, they were like, you know Oracle? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we need to talk to you like ASAP. And so getting a job was not difficult. Even though I did not have a tech degree, I had experience. Actually, I had 3 years of part-time experience at that point. So they were like, yeah, you're here, but we'll figure out where. We don't know exactly where you're going to go, but we want you to come work for us. And that's how it worked out. So I did get that job, and once I got hired onto the job after college, I worked as level 2 application support. Now, for those of you that are familiar with DevOps, this application support role was basically just the operations side of things. Now, we were able to, and I actually did implement some development or did some coding to implement features or workarounds for the issues that were recurring. But the primary purpose of that role was not to do the development, it was to do support. A lot of that consisted of doing like audits, filling out information about the application and be making sure that things stay compliant, documentation, writing documentation, reviewing documentation, uh, trying to reduce the number of incidents, in particular the recurring incidents, because of the fact ticket volumes were a lot. There were a lot of tickets that eventually did get addressed through fixes that were implemented, but the major problem was that the operations team, myself, and my teammates had to deal with. And so for me, it was a lot of it was just writing documentation and being able to pass that down to the level 1 support team. While still at that company, I eventually transitioned over to automated testing. We had some daily tasks that had to be performed, and originally it was humans that were performing those tasks every day. And every now and then you would get a mistake that would occur. So what was decided was, hey, can we automate some of these, especially if they're recurring? And so we use Selenium WebDriver in addition to some Java and Python and a combination of other things to be able to build this automation platform that would then perform these daily start of business tasks as well as any other recurring tasks like a verification after a release had been done for an application, stuff like that nature. So I ended up leaving that job after 7 years, and I got to the job where I currently am. I work in the government sector, and I do web development. I build applications using C# MVC as well as C# APIs. That also includes doing HTML, CSS, and TypeScript. Now, as far as my personal projects, this is one of those projects, running Tech Talk with RHT Services, where I talk about my personal tech projects. So like this traffic light that you see behind me, that's one of those projects. Running a website, you name it, building automations, all those things are things that I do as part of this particular channel. And so I have a YouTube presence on with the channel. So if you watch YouTube a lot, go ahead and subscribe over there. If you're not on YouTube, by all means, you can come over to Facebook. I also have a Facebook page, and you can give that page a thumbs up and you can see the videos there. But I talk about the various projects that I do, and since I'm talking about the traffic light, let's kind of go ahead and cover the traffic light. And so the traffic light is a teaching tool for what I do. So I'm a member of the National Society of Black Engineers, and I actually do get to take this traffic light out to various STEM events. So this is one event from, I believe it was 2021 or maybe 2019, I could be wrong. But the Montgomery Academy, which is a private school here, they actually do a STEAM Fest every year. So science, technology, art, engineering, and math. And so I brought out, as NSBE got invited, and so as me being a member of my NSBE chapter, I take out the traffic light. And at this time, the traffic light had a Raspberry Pi that was used to control it. Right now, though, the current version of it is using a ESP32 microcontroller that does the operations that you see running now. I also run a personal blog, thealmostengineer.com, and this is that site. And I blog about various technology related things. Sometimes it's code snippets, sometimes it's just whatever I can think of that's related to technology or life. I drop it here, because you never know who may be watching. For those of you that are trying to get into tech or just interested, I have a resources page here that you can actually go, and I have some interview questions, some interview tips, information about how Linux and just learning Linux if you're interested in that. Basically stuff that I need to be able to, or that I use to keep track of things. So this in particular, the tech interview tips. And this is kind of like having sat on the other side of the interview desk, things that I feel as though that people should know, and before they go in the interview, during the interview, and what to do after the interview. There's some other resources here, such as Linux, so like commands that you can use, because I know a lot of people are not familiar with Linux. After all, majority of the world, when it comes to people, use Windows, but there are more Linux servers and devices out there than there are Windows computers and devices. But Linux is something that I, run and have a passion for. This computer actually that I'm doing this presentation or recording with is a Linux-based computer. And so those type of information is available on thealmostengineer.com. I also have some additional information that while I build this out on rhtservices.net, eventually some of these videos that you see here will be featured on that website as well. In addition to, I will be releasing some code and other things, resources related to tech. So last but not least, Black Cloud Geeks, if you're not already a part of the group, please join the group. Like I said, it is both on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you have any questions for me or any topics that you would like for me to cover, feel free to drop it down as a comment below. I would be glad to schedule it if it is related to tech as a video in the future to answer any questions or comments that you may have. Thank you for checking out this video. If you have not already, please be sure to subscribe. You can either check me out on YouTube or also on Facebook, Tech Talk with RHT Services. Thank you for watching.